Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and anyone else who may be watching from outer space. We were supposed to have a
Well,
guest on,
we may have.
but our screw up had written down in our calendars at 2 o'clock, and apparently our guest was told 1 o'clock. I checked, and that was my fault. When I emailed his publicist, I said 1 o'clock, and so we completely missed him. She's trying to get him to see
Roy,
if he'll join us.
Roy, maybe it was never meant to be.
Well, anyway, Pastor Jackson Lawmeyer, who sounds like a very interesting person
And a page.
and a patriot. He apparently was in the studio at 1 o'clock, but neither Mike nor I were there, so nothing happened. And now I just found out. I checked my messages to see my emails to see if there was anything from him or his publicist. And sure enough, she said he'd been here at 1 o'clock and we weren't around. So I apologize to the pastor and I apologize to all of you for that. But since Mike and I were in the studio, we said may as well start a podcast. Hopefully, the pastor will still be able to come on.
On the chance that he does come on, we must, Roy and I, use our Zen energy and not use foul language, so this way he'll be able to present this to other people in case he shows up.
Yes, I've already decided before coming into the studio that today I was not going to curse because we have a man of God coming on, hopefully. And
that's that phone that I asked you to lower the volume.
I didn't expect that message to come through.
Yeah, I know. That's why I asked you to lower the volume, because it's
I'm going to lower the volume now.
Like a shooting gallery when you have your phone with you.
And I'll put it away from the microphone. Anyway, okay, so, we can talk about other things. I had a list of other things.
Oh, the beautiful bill passed.
The big, beautiful bill. No, it passed the House. It has not. It's going to the Senate. I did ask, by the way, Grok for a summary of what's in it. And
you're educating AI?
No, I asked AI to tell me to give me a summary of what was in the bill, because the Democrats are lying, of course, about everything, saying Medicaid was cut and so forth. It was not cut. What happens is people who are able-bodied will have to work for their if they're on welfare, but it's only 80 hours a month. That's 20 hours a week. Okay, that's not too much. Okay, you can work at a Dunkin' Donuts for a couple of days, 10-hour shifts, or 4 or 5 hour shifts, and you're covered. What? Get a job, yeah. And they won't deduct that off of the welfare you're getting. Right now, if you're on welfare and you start making money, they deduct what you make at the job off what they give you. So there's no incentive to work.
Two Jewish embassy people were murdered.
Yes,
in Washington.
By some, he wasn't even. I don't know if he's Muslim, but his name is Spanish. He's Hispanic, but he's one of these people who've been brainwashed about Palestine. Oh,
there's more to it. There were witnesses that heard him basically yell out "Free Palestine."
Yes, that's what I said. He's brainwashed.
So regardless, remember, we got to keep our voice, our stuff clean here, just in case, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is that regardless of what civilization spawned him, he's still an anti-Semitic, and he targeted these people.
Not just anti-Semitic; he's pro-terrorist.
Well, I don't see the difference, but anyway,
that's worse than because the people he killed, one of them is a Christian, and his girlfriend, his fiancée, who also died with him, is Jewish. They both worked at the Jewish Museum in D.C., and he killed them outside of the museum. Now, his family is of Jewish descent, but he was raised a Christian, and he is an active Christian.
There's that phone that we're not supposed to hear again.
I lowered it, but it's still...
Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, okay.
I'm quite sure from the 100 choices of low volume that you had, there was a diminishment to some degree.
let's get to the big, beautiful bill. The main thing about the big, beautiful bill, and this is why it was important to pass it, even though I don't like the fact that it's increasing spending again. Okay, I don't like that we're kicking the can down the road, as they say. They did do a permanent extension. It does do a permanent extension of the 2017 tax cuts, which would have expired this year. Okay, and let's see, it'll increase take home pay for individuals. It also includes the no tax on tips and overtime. Eliminates the federal income taxes on both the tips and overtime pay. So service industry workers are going to benefit from that. It gives a child tax credit of a one-time child tax credit of $1,000 per eligible child born between 2025 and 2028, and which will be deposited into MAGA accounts to support families. I didn't know that was actually going to be a thing. I heard the president talking about this. I heard them talking about he wanted to give a bounty, or so to speak, to people to have children, pay people to have children, because we're not having enough children, except for the invading illegals who are coming here and propagating like rabbits.
That I understand the motivation is to go ahead and make having children more affordable, so those people on the fence might.
Yeah, there's $1,000 nothing.
But it's the I don't know. It inherently bothers me. I don't like it. Doesn't mean it's bad. It's just I don't like it.
That says there's something about the state and local tax deduction known as SALT deduction. It raises the deduction limit from $10,000 to $30,000 for joint filers. So the people who benefit the most from that are high tax states, which means Democrat states like New York, New Jersey, California. Those states are going to benefit more because their taxes are so high, their property taxes are so high. A lot of Democrats a lot more Democrats are going to benefit from that than Republicans. So you can't say this is a partisan bill, a partisan cut. I mean, it says other tax incentives. It introduces deductions for interest on American-made car purchases and 100% expensing for U.S. investments to boost domestic manufacturing. So you buy an American car, you're going to get a tax break. Now, the Social Security, even though President Trump wanted to have no tax on Social Security, as did I, and you, I'm sure, it provides tax relief for seniors, but doesn't eliminate taxes on Social Security as we expected. That I don't like, but that's what's in the bill. That's the way to build it. Maybe the Senate will amend that. I don't know. That would be good if they amended that.
When they make something like this big beautiful bill, it's massive.
Yeah.
So it's not going to raise every boat, in every way. But overall, there's a lot of good in it, and there might be something in particular that you don't like. But the thing is that we are governed by consensus, and sometimes you have to compromise. This guy gets that guy gets that, something good for the kids, something good for people in the blue states. It all works out. By the way, all this talk about Trump screwing up in regards to the stock market. For the first time in a long time, my 401k actually went up in value. I was looking over the span of over a year, and I actually increased the value of my 401k by $1,000.
Nice.
And that's not just an increase. That's an increase above and beyond its highest point ever.
Okay.
So
cool.
I actually made a little bit of money, which if the Democrats were in power, they would tax me for the $1,000 I have yet to draw upon.
Oh yeah, if Biden had his way and did that, and Kamala wanted to do that too. tax you on unrealized gains, which is what Australia is doing. We talked about this over the phone yesterday, you and I. Australia is going to, they're going to vote on it, and it's probably going to pass because those people are really crazy, the people running Australia. They want to tax unrealized gains. So if your 401k went up, say $1,000, let's say it went up to $5,000 from what it was a couple of months ago. All right. Tax time comes. They want you to pay taxes on that 5,000. Now, if a month from then it goes down, you're shit out of luck because you're not. I'm sorry. That was. I apologize. I shouldn't have said that. But you're out of luck.
Man,
I think the pastor will forgive me for that if he comes on.
I
Anyway,
reason why
you're out of luck if that happens because you're not going to get anything back. You're
God
not going to get tax
I think God is protecting him from your filthy mouth.
All right, I'm not going to argue that point. Okay, there are some spending and program changes too in the big beautiful bill. Oh, by the way, I love the way Trump used the Democrats' ploy to his benefit. He's calling it the big beautiful bill instead of what do they call it all the time? Every time they do this and to get the spending going.
I know what they call it. Graft.
No, a continuing spending resolution. Instead of calling it another continuing spending resolution, the big beautiful bill. It makes it sound great, just like the Democrats are always doing with their anti-American, anti-capitalist bills.
First of all, calling it the big beautiful bill is so Trumpian that it's ridiculous. It's like,
it's a big bill. It's bigger than any bill you ever saw.
For baby, it's big. It's like he is.
It's beautiful. It's big, it's beautiful, and it's a bill. Okay, anyway. So it includes significant reductions to social programs such as it defunds Meals on Wheels, food banks, and limits Medicaid eligibility. That is, 14 million people could lose coverage. However, I believe that 14 million that might lose coverage are mostly illegals.
Go ahead.
Okay? Which we shouldn't be paying for anyway.
Yeah, there was
I saw a thing the other day that said that people who the average Social Security payout for people who worked 50 years in this country then retired is about $1,300 and change. But an illegal who comes here, who gets into the country illegally, immediately starts getting $3,500 in Social Security plus other benefits, including SNAP. That is BS. Okay, and I hold back there.
Yes, not by much. So the thing
BS
is
not bad. Yeah, BS is what you call your degree when you get out of college.
You had an angel's face with the devil's back.
Now, speaking of that, BS, these days it's true that most of the degrees of these kids coming out, since they don't really learn anything of value, it is indeed a BS degree. But let's get back to, okay, it also caps.
About Florida.
What?
DeSantis made it that they're getting rid of fluoridation of the water there.
I haven't gotten to that yet.
Well, that's
I know that's in there too. And that's a great thing. Medicaid restrictions prohibit Medicaid funding for gender transition procedures for minors. If you have any common sense, if you have any brains, you cannot argue with that. If you have any morality, you can't argue with that. You have to be a blue-haired.
No, wait a second. But it has the word affirming in it. That means that you're valid.
No, it's not affirming anything except it's affirming mutilation.
But it's called affirming. Therefore, there is affirming.
It's not affirming care. It's affirming mutilation on children.
It's in the title.
Therefore, I don't care. It's a lie.
No! I have not affirmed that.
Okay, people who were saying, that Elon Musk is getting something out of this. Well, there's an elimination of EV incentives. It phases out subsidies for electric vehicles, aligning with a focus on traditional manufacturing. Yeah, it's going to cost Elon Musk a lot more to produce his cars, but he could take the hit. And I don't think he really.
There's plenty of people that bought a car recently, a Tesla, because of the beating he was taking. People with some money said, "You know what? Let's get a Tesla." You know, But
Oh, yeah, his net worth is his net worth has come back. You know how under Doge they're saying, oh, he left Doge. He was supposed to leave Doge after
he lost
so many days. Okay, and
$900
he's doing that. He's backing off like he was supposed to. So he's not as involved as he was. But they said that I heard this morning that Tesla stock is making a comeback. So his fortune is coming back again.
Well, here's a nice piece of information.
Give me a good piece of information.
Speaking of Doge, they're looking into Governor Cuomo's history. Oh, yeah. Oh,
His
yeah.
history would be by putting people with COVID into nursing homes, correct?
No, well, I think they're looking into his finances, how he made money and stuff like that.
Oh,
See, like that other stuff he can argue. But if he's got funds coming from nowhere, that's another story. Rico, baby.
Rico his ass. Yeah, that'd be good.
Again with the
Wait a minute.
potty mouth. Mr. Potty mouth.
Wait. Jesus rode an ass into Jerusalem. Wait, the Bible says, look it up. The Bible says Jesus rode an ass into Jerusalem. When he had to,
It didn't say Jesus rode a posterior into it. It's a four-legged
I'm
animal.
talking about an ass.
You,
And
sir,
look at this way.
derriere.
Cuomo is a Democrat. The Democrats have as their symbol for well over a century an ass or a donkey, if you prefer. Okay,
I won't touch that
a
line.
mule, if you want to include the trans donkeys.
Yeah, which are horses.
Okay, other immigration immigration policy. There's going to be an asylum fee of $1,000 on migrants seeking asylum. A first in the United States policy, potentially limiting access to asylum processes. Which, I mean, everybody who comes here says, "Oh, I want asylum. I want asylum." None of them want asylum. They want a $3,500 Social Security payment every month plus a spending card. Okay, they're going to have to put $1,000 to.
The problem is not these people crossing the border. The problem is somebody dangling a carrot on this side of the border.
Yeah, the Democrats mainly, and rhinos who want cheap labor.
If you're from another country and you're not doing so well, or even if you are doing well, coming over here,
It's guaranteed. Yeah, the way things have been the last 4 years, it's guaranteed you're going to do better. Now there are no guarantees, just like it was 100 years ago, 50 years ago, when when your ancestors came over here, when my parents came over, there were no guarantees. My father had a couple of $100 in his pocket when he came to this country, and he had to make his own way, and he did. Anyway, other immigration measures include broader changes to immigration policy, although specifics are not detailed so far in the available sources. Remember, this is Grok giving me a summary of what's in the bill.
Yeah.
Other provisions would on tax tariffs and manufacturing. It raises tariffs and incentivizes American manufacturing to drive economic growth and promote the Made in America initiatives, which is a good thing. It federalizes AI. Your enemy AI, which you don't trust. It includes a measure to federalize, and I don't like the idea of federalizing it.
Trust AI.
Exactly, and federalizing it, I think I trust it even less because
that in order to rein in AI, you cannot allow it to have access to quite a few networks. In other words, it has to be a closed network system. The problem is it's all over the place. If AI wants to, it could go ahead and put portions of itself in various computers, so this way it can't be destroyed.
True. But, I think it's even worse federalizing it because now you're giving government bureaucrats and politicians control of AI. I don't like that.
Well, again, it's not so much the horse, but the driver, but the rider, And the thing is that if you have somebody like Elon Musk with good intentions, okay, you have a really good chance of having a secure product. But if you have somebody who's either incapable or a scoundrel, then you're going to have problems. AI, see, the thing is, there's more than one AI now. Then there's going to be the AI wars. There's going to be, my AI is smarter than your AI.
Up for a second. I just got an email from Kristen a few minutes ago already. She said he asked him to come on, give him a moment. He might be able to jump on for a short period of time. He's not here yet, so.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell.
Let me answer. Tell her
Mel.
we're doing a podcast anyway. Hopefully,
Don't say it.
you can join us.
That sounds like, with or without you.
All right. Yeah,
we're doing the podcast.
We're doing a podcast.
We're ready. That's all.
Hopefully
Stop apologizing. Everybody knows you're too old to remember.
And we will put our focus to him and what he has to say.
Lucy, are you going to do the podcast tonight? No, I'm going to be with little Ricky.
Oh, Ricky! Oh. All right, let's see. Why? Okay. The budget and deficit impact are what concern me. I mean, it sets the federal budget for the next year, but it's projected to increase the budget by another 3.3 trillion from 2025 to 2034. And some people are estimating it will be way higher than that in additional debt over a decade. This is what I really take issue with this bill or any spending bill.
Okay, here's my view on that. I don't know all the nuts and bolts of it, but here's my view. Let's say you have a car that isn't working very well. You have to spend money in order to fix it.
Yeah.
And then you're functional. So some of the spending might be in order to shore up the links in the boat. Like, it's costing us money to get these illegals out of here. But in the long run, we're saving money.
Yeah, because it's going to save hundreds of billions getting them out of here. The other thing is, remember, President Trump is relying on more manufacturing, more on the economy growing, on the GDP growing, and also there's the thing I heard today about the cryptocurrency, the federal cryptocurrency. Now the talk is that he or some people want to issue a government crypto. However, that crypto could be sold at any time, but it can be used to pay your income taxes. Now, here's what would happen theoretically if this goes through. Here's what would happen with the income tax. Because you're creating more money, you're going to create inflation. Okay? But if you pay your taxes with the crypto, as soon as the government receives it, rather than spend it or put it in the budget to spend over the next year, that crypto is
evaporates.
What they call evaporates. Yeah, it disappears. In other words, it's no longer in existence. So it eliminates some of that.
Where is the transfer of value that the government would expect from taxation?
I think they're counting on an increased GDP, the economy expanding.
Okay, so it's some sort of economic tool that is beyond the normal scope of taxation.
I guess you could say that.
I just did. So the thing is that
Yes,
I don't know. First of all, one of the things I learned about financing, business and so forth like that, in regards to stocks and so forth, is that some of these top boys are like in some sort of guru state where they're making these choices, and the formulas for certain financial groups is so complex, it's ridiculous. It's like physics. So I'm not going to be able to understand that because I'm not going to put the time into it. That's for sure. Plus, I don't know anybody who can teach me. But essentially, I follow economics very simply. Zero debt. If you can eliminate your debt, you're stronger, because even if you lose
Yes.
everything, even if you lose your ability to take in money, your property is still your own. So that has value. Invest in bullets. They'll always be useful. That is
Yes.
the goal.
If you don't use them, you can always trade them.
But here's the thing. There's an old joke that better to have a prophylactic and not need it than need it and not have it. Well, I say better to have a large ammo supply and not need it than
Yes. Well, look. Well, Obama. Remember a few years ago we had a shortage of ammunition because Obama ordered the federal government to buy all the 9mm ammo that it could.
Homeland Security.
Yeah, for Homeland Security and everything, including agencies like the IRS and Department of Agriculture, Department of Interior. Yeah, every agency, every federal agency was weaponized by Obama.
Yeah, that's
They
why
were carrying guns. They didn't have to carry guns.
that's why it's good to have rudimentary um, reloading equipment like the Lee Loader, which is a $30 package that fits in the space this big, that you can reload some of your more expensive ammunition for pennies, such as, let's say you like to shoot the 308 or 223 or 556. You can get a Lee Loader for about $30, and you could get about $40 worth of supply, and you can make a tremendous amount of ammunition, so much so that it would be maybe 15 to 20% of what the normal cost would be, ignoring the cost of the equipment. So even if you don't use it and you have that material, you will have the capability of making that ammo. And it works very nicely.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well. Apparently, this thing cut off what I was. It didn't copy everything that Grok gave me.
Good, good. So this way you're going to have to think out of the box now, won't you? Or I'm sorry, you like being in the box. You traitor to humanity.
No, you like being you like being in the what do you call it?
Watch your mouth.
The closet, you bastard.
There you go again, Mr. Potty Mouth.
Oh well, I don't think that. Well, bastard. That's in the Bible too. There are bastards in the Bible. Yes, there are.
There's bastards right here too. Oh,
Yeah. I mean, we can ask the pastor when he comes out. Does the Bible not mention ass, pastor? What was the other thing I said? I forget. Anyway. Well, did you freeze or you just make him believe?
I can believe.
Oh, okay.
I love doing that.
I know. He's such a silly fellow. Anyway, I don't know. I have nothing else to talk about the thing because I don't have any more information, unfortunately.
Well, let's see. Let's talk about some stuff like I forget. I don't know if it was. It was a major newscaster on one of the independent networks, and these guys were talking, and there was a consensus that they believe that BLM, of all people, of all groups, is going to be responsible for more riots this year. They think it's that the left is in a meltdown, and yes, and they're as like that woman that ran amok over in Newark or wherever they ice.
Oh yeah, the congresswoman.
Yeah. Well, the thing is that
She looks like she ate Letitia Jackson, actually.
That's got to be hard to swallow. But anyway, the thing is that they were absolutely convinced that that the left side is losing it. And I've had some experience with the left recently, and I cannot get through to them. And so they're absolutely convinced that the present state of affairs is an assault upon everything good, when in fact, their response is going to be everything bad. So, if that's the case, I suggest if you're in a state where you can carry, keep something in your trunk. And if you're not in a state that you can carry, keep something else in your trunk.
Yeah. Well, the left is going loony, and they're getting loonier by the day, especially since they are being their policies are being suppressed now. Thank God.
Mm.
So,
Well,
hey, I did get an email from a cousin who lives up in Canada. I told him because a lot of stuff's going up going on in Canada, really crazy. And British Columbia was what the hell was it that British Columbia was doing? Let me see if I can find that out. I'm sorry, folks, but this is kind of important to make my point. If I can find his original,
it's important you'll remember it.
Well, no, I kind of remember it, but I want to have it exact. I don't want to get it wrong. My name is Mike.
You're right. Thank God.
Jeez. Here we go. No, I wasn't here. Anyway.
Dios mío.
Okay. Well, anyway, here's his response to my email because of something that was going on in British Columbia. He said, God, no, I don't live in British Columbia. I live in Alberta, just 30 minutes southwest of Calgary, in the hamlet called, I'm not going to say it because there's no freedom of speech in Canada. I don't want the Mounties going and knocking on his door. I live in an acreage surrounded by nature, peace, and clean air. British Columbia is where the wackos live. Woke, left-wing, and potheads. Alberta is the Texas of Canada. Rednecks, oil, and gas and beef. Cowboys and conservative. Yes, there's a big drive out here to join as the 51st. We have more in common with you than the rest of Canada. Canada does not have an identity of itself, and the eastern part are as corrupt as the day is long. The francophones out of Quebec hate the Western Anglophones as much. The feelings are mutual. Canada is too big and too rich to be controlled by a bunch of liberal globalist leftists like the present government. Time to say goodbye and join you. Saskatchewan, east of us, is also conservative and would follow us as the 52nd. Both provinces are rich in resources. Our neighbor Sask has also oil and gas, richest potash reserves in the world, uranium, gold, diamonds, nickels, and copper. Imagine these two provinces becoming two new conservative states. Have a great day. Like Trump says, never say never.
Oh, by the way, I figured out a foolproof plan on how to get the Iron Dome as well over Canada as well as the United States. And this is foolproof. Make it the 51st state. Then we have
over. Exactly. Well, like my cousin says, Alberta and Saskatchewan would happily join the United States because not so much because they want to join the states, but as they no longer want to be a part of Canada. Canada is crushing the people over there because they are mostly conservative, and it's just like in New York City. New York City does everything it can to put down Staten Island because Staten Island is a den, a hive of conservative voters. Okay, they don't like the people in Staten Island because the people in Staten Island actually, want to do things on merit, not on equity, things like that. They are opposed to most of the libtard policies of New York City, and so New York City punishes it whenever they can.
Well, last week at some point, the stock market had a radical shift up. It was getting to know. Then Trump said, we're going to hold off on these tariffs with China. And all of a sudden, the market goes way up. Okay. And the thing is that prices of eggs have gone down, all this other stuff. So at some point, even the indoctrinated are going to have to recognize They won't be able to deny it. If I was paying $6 for a dozen eggs yesterday, and I'm paying $3 for it now, I know that. So there's only so much that you can deny. And
this is why you're not talking about the price of eggs anymore.
I know, but my point is, even if you're not talking about it, the very change in state is going to be so radical that, it's going to upset your little story. The thing is, your delusion requires some degree of affirmation. Regardless of whether it's false or not, it needs affirmation. And the more data that you receive that is contra to the affirmation you're searching for, the more likely you're going to have a breakdown of your ideology. It's a loss of faith, because this is not an issue of politics. This is an issue of like a religious cultism, and the thing is, these people believe until, like, a number of these people have actually switched to conservatism, that were out, like our buddy that was totally anti-Trump,
Mike.
Nick.
Nick, I mean Nick.
Nick. And the thing is that there was just way too much evidence for him to make his dislike for Trump matter. So the thing is that this is what's happening throughout the country in little doses here and there. And actually, there was a conversation, we talked about this before. There's a number of political analysts that were looking at New Jersey and New York State, and they said in the next major election, they could turn red. Because
you know what happened? Another thing that happened there, they found. I think Doge found it, and they purged the voter rolls of 5 million voters that were ineligible, illegals, and so on and so forth, or people who were registered in 2 counties because they moved. They registered in the new county, didn't unregister in the old one, and so forth, or people who had died and weren't removed from the rolls. And they're saying that California and New York City had the biggest. I think they removed 1.2 million voters from the California rolls, and they removed 1 million voters from New York rolls. I believe mostly in New York City. That alone, New York City carries New York. If we could turn New York City red, it would be almost a miracle.
Well,
California is close to being red too now.
I don't think we turned Philadelphia red, but the thing is that
Pittsburgh.
The thing is that or Pittsburgh, yeah, but Pennsylvania still went red, and which was, the odds were pretty weak. But then what happened is that, again, the data was coming in, and there were too many incidences where you had lawlessness, like these. Have you noticed that in the news you're not hearing a lot about all of a sudden these masses of people just going into stores and stealing everything all at once?
The what do they call it? Flash mobs, yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is that was pure anti-civilization. That was
probably in Chicago. That idiot mayor is probably still allowing that.
Well, the thing is that it happened in Philadelphia, happened in New York City, and the thing is, anybody who interfered with it got arrested. So you're arresting the people that are resisting crime,
yeah,
and or thievery, if it's not a crime, and you're releasing anybody who gets captured, the handful that gets captured, because they're owed due process.
Remember a few decades ago when they had all the riots in Los Angeles? The Korean shop owners, they got up on the roofs in their neighborhood and they protected their neighborhood with rifles and shotguns.
They brandished weapons, so this way everybody knew that they were hot.
Yeah, and they used them when necessary to keep the looters away. And so they protected their neighborhood.
That is,
Unfortunately, if this were to happen today, they would all be the ones getting arrested.
but their building would still be intact.
No, not after they were arrested.
Oh, first of all, you got to get through the mob in order to arrest them. And to be honest with you, um, if you have 10, 15 people on the top with shotguns and rifles, and they're easy to see, and there's a stealing spree, and you look up, general rule of thumb, thieves, like water, take the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
So, it's just, yeah. Here's the thing. Regardless of what the backlash is, this is one of the things that actually Pastor Jackson talks about, that why some pastors are not speaking out against the left or not supporting Trump is because they don't want backlash. Okay. And, so the thing is, doing the right thing is oftentimes leads you to a position where you are vulnerable, and you're probably going to be dealt with by some unjust agent, So, I was having a conversation with somebody in the gun store the other day, and he was talking about the concept of the, what is that? The guard, not the guard dog, but the sheepdog. The idea that the sheepdog is there to control the herd and also protect the herd. That concept was also mentioned, I believe, in the movie American Sniper. And the concept of sheepdog is that some people are sheepdogs, and their job is to protect the group. Okay.
Would be generally speaking considered the cops, I guess.
Well, anybody can be a sheepdog. A father can be the sheepdog of a little league team. So the thing is that I guess the question that people have had to ask throughout time is doing the right thing enough? And if you can say yes, then you're a sheepdog, because you may do the right thing and then be assaulted afterwards in some way. You can lose it all.
Yeah, like I forget his name, Daniel Perry, I think it was, the guy who inadvertently choked out the homeless guy on the subway while protecting the rest of the passengers on the train. And he was assisted by some black passengers too, who helped them subdue the guy to begin with. But because he was white, he's the one that New York City, Letitia James, or that other fat guy, that fat piece of excrement. Excrement. Alvin Bragg. He went after Dan Perry.
Well, yeah, because the thing is that that's what, the idea is to dangle this case in front of everybody, keep everybody talking about it while they're passing money under the table.
Not only that, keep them talking about it so that they won't repeat that action.
Well, also to instill racism.
Yes. Yeah.
Look, another white
identity politics was almost dead until Barack Obama went into office. He revived it. He revived racism. He threw back race relations to the worst point since 1965.
I have just invented a new adjective that should be added to the English language.
Barackization? What?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah. Or if it has to do with racism, yeah, he was so racist, he'll Brock that. Boy, the guy looks like a black Alfred E. Newman. Those big ears of his and stuff.
He's like Alfred E. Newman minus the intelligence. He's shrewd, but he's not intelligent. He's just a tool of the globalists.
Are you serious?
No, he is intelligent. I got to admit, he is intelligent. Unfortunately,
first of all,
he's too intelligent.
No joke. He's a magnificent orator. Okay, regardless of whether you
wait. No, as long as he's got a teleprompter. There were times when his teleprompter stopped and he was at a loss for words. He couldn't finish his speech.
Are you talking about?
Okay?
Wait a
So
second.
he didn't know what he was talking about. I mean, if you give a speech, you have to know your subject, because if that teleprompter goes, or if you lost a page, you should be able to continue. He's incapable of that. He's not a good speaker.
Are we talking about the black Obama or the white Obama?
Either one. They're both shithead. Oh, they're both.
Hold on, Mr. Potty Mouth.
Well, the pastor's obviously not coming today. Anyway, I'm a better orator if you give me a teleprompter than Obama, or I could at least match him.
Especially
Well, you take away, I did some acting too. Remember, there were times when you forget a line or something, but as long as you know what's going on, you can get through the scene. All right.
First of all, anybody who's been married has done plenty of acting.
No, that doesn't make your ass look like a back of a bus.
Okay, honey, whatever you want. Get in bed.
I'll be home by 10.
Yes. I didn't notice her. More lies. Come on, let's do more lies. More marriage lies.
More marriage lies. Let's see. Oh, let me write that down so I can put it in the show notes that we're doing some.
Do you think we should marry? Would you think that we should invite your mom? I think she'd like it.
Oh, of course, but I thought that she had something to do, didn't she?
Yeah. Your sister's great.
I don't want your mom and pop feeling out of place because it's all going to be younger people here, and I just don't want them to feel bad.
I don't think we can afford it. And the mate to that, yeah, we can afford it. Either one. It works both ways.
Yeah. What else?
How long?
No, we're just friends. She and I. We've been friends for years. You were the first, baby.
I love this jacket. Thank you. My first wife, she wanted.
I love this jacket so much. I feel like I should put it behind glass.
My first wife, the clothing she would buy was so loud for me. I mean, I actually was given a shirt, a green lime shirt with orange trim.
So she's looking like an old-time golfer.
No, it was time to buy a red nose and go out and make some money. Ridiculous. Terrible choice.
What the hell? I saw something this morning on.
Wait a second. I got to tie in. The Pope, new Pope Leo, I'm like him. He said publicly, so everybody could hear him, the only form of marriage is between a man and a woman. End of statement. Marriage is only between a man and a woman. And the trans community is spinning like a top. He's going to commit a genocide on us.
Yeah, they're the ones concerned with genocide. Meanwhile, they've killed how many millions of babies in the womb?
Well, the thing is that is genocide the death of a group, or is it simply the eradication of one's sexual identity?
No, it's the repudiation of the idea that marriage is anything but the union of a man and a woman, with preferably, not always, but preferably, the original intent was for procreation.
Yes. He also went one step further. He even said the family, which is based upon a man and a woman, is the primary source of law in the world. It's like, because
it's in the family that you learn right from wrong.
But family is only based upon the conjoining of a man and a woman.
Yeah, in some circles that's known as porn.
Well, the thing is that in modern times, this idea that any group that hangs together for more than a few days is family.
Yeah, extended family, like they call it too. Well, extended family can be like, okay, somebody gets remarried and now they have their kids, their spouse kids and so forth. And they accept people who were or on that side of the
Well,
family.
you have to bastardize the term family if you're going to start going ahead and saying that homosexuals can go ahead and have children. I think they can have a family too. So now, not only do you have a false family, so to speak, but you also have, yeah, where
Wait, I heard the other day there is a large percentage of lesbians who get pregnant and have children, which means that the lesbians are not quite 100% lesbian.
well, if
Okay?
you're getting if artificial insemination, they are.
Aside from artificial insemination, yeah, they get that, but there are also a lot of lesbians who like to play it both ways, or at least when it suits their purposes. Or as the song used to say, if you can't love the one you want, love the one you're with.
Well, it sounds to me like they had a relapse, and then they came to their senses.
That happens too. I have known some women who, in their early lives, dabbled in lesbianism, but became mothers and wives.
Well, in the history of primates, um, sex with the same gender, same sex, um, exists until maturity, and then you break away from that because the genetic material inside of you wants to procreate. That's its pri- primary purpose of sex is procreation. The reason why it feels good is because if it didn't, animals are too
You
stupid.
might not do it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's got to feel good, and that's a motivator. But the thing is, so which makes me ask, what does salmon get out of it? I can't. I still don't understand that one. Well, how did that start?
How did what start? Wait.
Well, salmon basically that the female dumps a bunch of eggs in the water, and
Yeah.
the male ejaculates on them.
That's because the eggs are soft and they're like the inside of a vagina. So he's getting his thing
No,
there.
no, he goes on top of them.
And she's getting the kick because as she expelled the eggs, oh, it felt good going through there.
Maybe that's the case, but the fact of the matter is that it falls quite short. And it probably explains why salmon is so delicious because clearly nothing is wasted. Everything stays in there. So,
And also if you have a female salmon fish, then it's virginal.
wait a second.
It's not been violated.
Besides the female salmon fish, is there female salmon animal or female salmon insect? Huh?
What about the wait? What about the seahorse? The male's the one who carries the eggs.
Right. Which means that they are the most browbeaten, put down males there are. It's like talk about being whipped. But honey, I'll carry that for you.
You bet your ass you will. An ass again is donkey. In the Bible.
The funny thing is seahorses are so strange looking. I think that's why kids like them so much, is because they're extremely
They look cute. They look very nice. Yeah. So
they look weird. They're wrong. They're just freaking wrong, dude. Is there anything else?
they look like they should be running, but they got that only one little tail that curls up, and that's it.
They got little fins on the side.
Yeah, but they look like a horse. The head looks like a horse.
There's another strange animal.
Can you imagine The Godfather if if The Godfather had put the head of a seahorse in the guy's bed?
I wouldn't know it.
Or better yet, hundreds of seahorses. Just the heads, that's it.
Or Letitia James's head. That's a horse's head. But
no, that would be a horse's ass. I'm sorry.
Again with the butox. But the thing is that the platypus is an interesting animal. It's like one type. I believe it's a mammal, but it's also
lays eggs.
What?
But it also lays eggs. Oh,
but I think it's like a frog. It's also what is that when you're going in and out of the
amphibian? Yeah, it's a mixture. Here's the thing about that. I remember reading a few years ago that they were trying to use DNA to recreate a platypus. I don't know if they succeeded or not to bring the platypus back. Also, they're working more recently. They've been working on bringing back the dodo.
What do you mean by the reason why animals?
No, I'm sorry. The platypus exists. I'm talking about the dodo. I apologize. The platypus exists.
But anyway, the thing is that um, the reason why animals go extinct is because they're no longer able to live in their environment and procreate for some whatever reason. In other words, nature's done with them. So it's like trying to bring back the dire wolf. Why do you want that?
Here's the other thing. I forget if it's somewhere between 75 to 90% of all species that have ever existed have gone extinct.
Right. And we're still here.
This is a natural thing. This happened long before man was here, long before anybody had a car, long before anybody chopped down a tree.
There's
A lot of these species disappeared.
There are symbiotic relationships and so forth like that they need each other and such. But the fact of the matter is, unless man is interfering with the natural process, which we do, extinction comes. And I hate to break the news to you, we are part of the environment.
Yeah.
We're a super predator.
Also, our intervention has actually saved some species from extinction. The wackos, the environmental wackos don't want to see that. That reminded me of something.
I don't know how.
Do you remember the spotted owl problem back in California, back in the 80s or 90s? They stopped the lumber industry from going into this forest because the spotted owl lived there. If you use that area for lumber, the spotted owl was going to go extinct. Eventually, over the years, after legal battles, they said, no, you can go and do it. Okay, so what happened? The spotted owl disappeared from that area. You know what happened with the spotted owl?
Went somewhere else.
Went somewhere else and thrived. Okay? For example, you know those stupid commercials they had the polar bear on the ice piece of ice, which is how they actually go from one block of ice to another. All right, it's a regular way. It's like taking the ferry somewhere. Okay. Anyway, the polar bears have thrived over the last 40 years. Okay, there are many more of them than there used to be when they started saying, "Oh, they're going extinct."
They're walking all over some of the towns in Alaska.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You don't want to. And those things are big, man. I saw one that a guy we knew had shot on a safari in Siberia because he used to have permission to go to Siberia and hunt. And that thing was huge, man. I think it was about 9 feet tall.
1,200 pounds, right?
Who?
1,200 pounds.
Maybe more. I don't know. This thing was huge.
I believe the Alaskan brown bear is the largest bear there is. And then after that comes the polar bear, then the grizzly.
But there's one of those bears. I forget which one it is. Some of them will maul you, but like the polar bear, if it thinks you're dead, it'll leave you alone. Okay? And also, they're very curious. They say if you're running from a polar bear, rip off your clothes and throw it behind you because they'll stop and they're curious. They'll say, "What the hell's this?"
Another thing,
they forget you. Okay, but the worst ones are the grizzly. He'll destroy you. But the grizzly, if he thinks you're dead, he's boring.
Well,
he goes off. The brown bear or the black bear, one of those, I forget which, will not stop.
Well, the grizzly bear has a reputation of being unreadable. They attack, and we don't know why sometimes. Okay, so that's one of the biggest problems. The male black bear is not that aggressive compared to the female black bear with her cubs. That is historically
it's the brown bear that doesn't stop.
Well,
the brown bear, you can make believe you're dead. It doesn't matter. It's going to rip you apart anyway.
Well, I think the grizzly is the same way too. But the thing is that
I think the grizzly, if it thinks you're dead, will
What
walk
people
away.
don't know is there is an animal out there that can kill a grizzly pretty much at will, and that is the moose. The moose
Really?
is actually is known for killing more bears than bears killing moose.
You know that moose kill more people in Alaska than any other animal?
There's people in Alaska, but what a state to be in, you know?
The moose, man, it's like, holy. They're what? They could be like 9 feet high or something?
I was up in Maine on a canoe with a friend of mine, John, and we were canoeing across. And you want to hear a story or what?
I'm listening.
All right, so here's what happened. We as we're canoeing across the lake, we see this rock sticking out. So we're kind of curious. We want to take a look at it. So when we're about 50 feet away from it, my friend John, in a panic, starts backpedaling. And I go, "What the hell's wrong?" He says, "That ain't no rock." And all of a sudden, the moose picked his head up. That was his shoulders sticking out of the water. It looked like a rock from the distance.
Gee.
This thing was massive. And we were about 50 feet away from it. And I'm telling you, man,
Panic.
well, yeah, you got the hell out of there. And you should have seen the look. The look it gave us was quite simply, who the hell are you to be here? Like, not why are you here? What gave you the right to even be here? It was in Maine. In Mount Katahdin,
Okay.
one of the lakes nearby. Beautiful place. We never completed the AT, but we wanted to hike down. We hiked both ends of it separately.
Uh-huh.
So we went down to I think it's Georgia it starts. I forget. I think it was Georgia or I think that's where it starts. And
Maine down to Georgia?
what?
You went from Maine to Georgia?
No. We couldn't do that because it's like 1,200 miles or something. So instead, we decided to hike the beginning and the end separately.
I see. Okay.
We hiked a bunch of other sections in between. We probably put about 300-400 miles in together, but it's too much.
Yeah.
But the thing is that yeah, Georgia is cool. But Maine, I mean, Maxwell Parish was in his heaven. Yeah, in Maine, man, it's like everything was just so majestic, fantastic.
Well,
I think we're good.
I think we're good too. We've gone over an hour. We didn't have our guest because we screwed up, and I apologize to the pastor.
We did?
I sent an email saying 1:00, and Mike and I had decided on 2. So it was I should have checked my email when I sent it because I gave them the wrong time. And I apologize to the pastor. I apologize to his publicist, Kristen.
We still got a podcast out of it. Okay, that's a complete waste. Number 2, I'm quite sure he does want to go ahead and do it.
I hope so.
I think so.
If only to rebuke us, to admonish us for what we did.
I haven't been rebuked since my first wife. But anyway,
You mean you've been rebuked since your first wife?
Well, I would recommend that he see this podcast, except Mr. Pottymouth ruined it for us.
I didn't ruin anything.
He said all kinds of foul things.
I said nothing that is not written in the Bible.
He probably dances naked at night with the
ass, bastard, and what was the other one I used? There were 3 that are all in the Bible.
They're so part of his nature, he doesn't even see them. Sad.
All right. That's it from The View from Here, Behind Enemy Lines for this week. We will. Oh, that's right. Everyone have a great Memorial Day weekend. We will be back here sometime, probably Tuesday, with another guest that we're getting lined up. We
Which
just have to come up with an
be able to
exact time and date. It will be the Tuesday or Thursday, and then hopefully we can get Pastor Pastor Lohmeyer to forgive us and come on the podcast. I feel so bad. I mean,
it's done.
Nothing to do now.
It's done.
So we will see you again next week. So again, enjoy the weekend. Be careful out there. Have fun at your barbecues or whatever.
Cher died recently.
Who?
Cher from Sunny.
Cher died?
Yeah, about 7 days ago.
How can you tell? She was a Skeletor for years. No, she died. She really died. No, you're lying. Hey Siri, did Cher die recently? I heard nothing about this.
The guy that was Dr.
No, she's alive.
The guy that she's dead. The guy that did Dr. Kildare, Richard Chamberlain.
He died a couple of years ago.
No, he died this year.
Or this year. He died. I know that. But Cher is not dead.
He doesn't know. He just doesn't know. The guy, Buster Poindexter, he's dead.
Yes, him I heard he died. He really screwed up his he was David Johansen. And then he created this character, Buster Poindexter.
I loved
and
it.
It was like ridiculous, and I think it hurt his reputation, really.
I thought his music was fantastic.
His music was good, but when he became Buster Poindexter, it was a parody of himself.
Sounds good to me. That's what artists do.
You're a parody of human being anyway, so.
Yeah, I don't know what creature you are, but, when I figure that out, I'll let you know.
All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, once again, have a great Memorial Day weekend. Be safe, and we will see you again next week on The View from Here. What?
May the farce be with you.
The farce is always with us.
Bye-bye.